As European austerity continues to bite, it looks as if little is being spared, including the annual Eurovision Song Contest. Francis Robinson has been looking at Sweden's plans to host the next one. Francis, so the next Eurovision is in Malmo, but the Extravaganza may not be quite so big after all.
Right, exactly. So last year it was in Azerbaijan who really threw everything they had at it. We're talking vast amounts of new oil and gas wells, build a special stadium, fireworks, lasers, all singing, all dancing, you name it. And the Swedes have taken a very different tack. They say they want it to be about the songs. They've called it an arms race, like who's got the biggest LED screen, who's got the fanciest lasers, who's got the most dry ice. And the Swedes have gone right back down to basics, and they're actually going to fund it with they've got a budget of 15 million euros to host it, which is, we've had a quick look and it seems to be kind of around the same as in 2007. So very modest approach, they're scaling it right back, really cutting down on the pyrotechnics, which might actually be better for the songs.
That is true, or arguably true, Francis, but at the same time, I mean, Sweden's not exactly a poor country. I mean, there are much poorer countries within Europe who you'd think would be the ones pushing for this.
Right, exactly. I mean, some countries have had to make the ultimate sacrifice and they're just not even going. Like Portugal, they've had the bailout, they're in particular economic trouble there, and not even sending an entry this year. And Portugal has a long and noble Eurovision history. It's even played a role in the country's politics there. So they're not coming. Bosnia-Herzegovina, Poland, all off the agenda this year. So that's one extreme. And then some other countries are just really cutting back on what they're doing. I've been having a quick listen to some of this year's entries. Lots of ballads, lots with just one person on stage, nothing too lavish like last year. You see the French one with the acrobats and the Jean-Paul Gaultier outfits. I mean, that was just lavish. This year it seems to be a much more modest approach.
So I was just going to ask you, I mean, how do you think this is going to affect the actual entrance this year?
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing just a real scaling back. I mean, looking at the favourites at the moment in terms of betting are Norway, Denmark, Ukraine, all up there. The Netherlands have got a really nice understated ballad, but I was looking at it, and the video, it looks like a bit like me on Skype now. It's literally just one woman sitting there with a microphone in a recording studio. So I think we're talking austerity Eurovision all round, except for the Finns, who this year have gone for an amazing kind of recreation of, Guns N' Roses' November Rain with the short wedding dress. Yeah. We've got a sexy lady strutting around in Lady Gaga platforms in a glamorous, sexy wedding dress.
But Francis, what is always interesting with the Eurovision Song Contest is that if you win, you basically have to host the show the next year. So lots of times countries go into this, but they really don't want to win because they can't afford to.
Exactly. And people, of course, it's not very sporting, is it? If you want to be in Eurovision, you really should be in it to win it. But there is a long history of countries basically looking at the cost of funding this lavish show. I mean, it's watched by more people than Super Bowl. It's watched by more people watch it than the Oscars. It's a huge showcase for your country, but it is super expensive to host. And it's not the first time it's happened. So in 1974, when ABBA won with Waterloo, absolute Eurovision gold, they were at Brighton in the UK, even though Luxembourg had won the year before. But it was the second year Luxembourg had won, and they were like, guys, we just can't afford it. It's too expensive. So the UK, as one of the big five, said it's all right.
Well, we'll have to wait and see who wins it this year, Francis.